So today we're going to continue with shoving in the insulation. We're also going to start patching some of the holes because that way that can dry while we do the other work. And yeah, we're just going to keep plowing along as fast as we can and doing as much as we can after work every day. Let's get started. Now that Steph has gone to bed, I'm just going around and putting 2 more screws in each side of these patches, really putting down the wood nice and tight and checking the screws to make sure they're set. If you run a spatula over it and you hear that tick noise, like that, it means that their screws aren't in fully. Don't do nearly enough drywall work to warrant getting a good screw depth setter. And I have not found a cheap one that works well. If you guys have, let me know. Let's go slow. Because you don't want to tear the paper out. So what I love is originally gypsum board, the precursor to drywall, was designed to go underneath plaster. Going to a home like that, paint flakes off the walls. It was a pain in the arse to fix. But you could smack your knee hard off a corner and it wouldn't give any damage. You need your thumbnail to press into drywall nowadays. Then I can just cut some patches, come along and stick them on up and in. So, as always, I want to get more done today, but it's not happening. I will finish up by tapping out all the little small holes that have to be patched up. And look here, I've got drywall guaranteed to fit the exact size of those holes. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of a recycle job. I'm not gonna tell you how to do this, largely because there are far more qualified people out there than I am. So just enjoy a quick time lapse of me doing this. These walls need repair. We need to get rid of all the wall anchors that aren't doing us any favors. One of the easiest ways is to get a screw bigger than they're intended for. Just bite the front, pop them out. If you're lucky, come right out first try. If you're not lucky, it might take more than one. I got a lot of what I would call the landlord special, where they just painted right over top of what was already there. Now the paint prep is getting rid of this. We're gonna keep it put someplace else. We quite like the look of it, but it is definitely in our way. Well, I guess there was a reason they painted it. It wasn't exactly nice looking underneath. You can see the original color of the walls in here. Not great. I'm not a big fan of this. And there's no damage behind it, which is why I wanted to pop it off the wall before I prime that one spot. So I shall prime any exposed paper just to seal it before we mud it. In case you can't tell, it's been more than an hour, so the paint should actually, or primer should actually dry. I'm just going to make up some sheetrock 45. Just a small amount to backfill the giant cracks between my patches. Since this is a chemically setting mud, not an air drying mud, you can't add water to it to thin it down once it starts getting stiff. If it's getting thick on you, it means the chemical reaction is happening and it's gotten to the point where your mud's setting. People I watch learn how to do this, call it kicking off. So if your mud kicks off, don't try to save it. Alright, so the mud's still good. I got a little more time, so I'm just going to quickly fill a couple of the more egregious holes. I'm not trying to finish these holes in any way, shape, or form right now. I'm just trying to get material packed into them. Then we can do a proper finish on them afterwards. Alright, we're back again, another day, different shirt. Today we're just going to be applying tape to the holes we pre-filled yesterday. Get start feathering that out. I am terrible at this, so do not copy what I'm doing. Basically, when you're bad at this, it just means you sand a lot more. So I get to sand a lot more and probably do a few more than 3 coats of mud on top. But let's get going. Now, I'll say again, for the record, that I suck at this, but I do have some tips for people. One of the first ones being, don't mix your mud batches, especially with the setting type. What I mean by that is, if I have my pan now, I use it up, it starts going off, I'll throw it out and make a new batch. Don't try to mix, it won't end well. I'd also say be kind to yourself. You're not going to be good at this unless you've done this a lot and you've been working on getting better. So you're going to be sanding a lot. That's just facts. And I definitely recommend practicing somewhere you don't care about. My most helpful bits of advice I gleaned from YouTube was, it doesn't matter how you get the mud on, it only matters how you finish it. When I cake it on and it's thick, yeah, it's wasteful. Spending much time doing stuff you don't need to do, but you get it looking halfway decent and smooth in the end, it don't matter. And yeah, I got a bunch of mud left in my pan. I'm gonna touch up some of the rougher spots around the room and throw the rest out. Because that's just how it's done and how it needs to be done if you want to get anything resembling half-decent results.
Okay, so Chris has put up the first round of mudding on all the holes that I so nicely marked out for him. So I'm gonna go through, scrape off the high parts with a scraper. I don't know what it's called. And then I'm gonna sand. First coat, so let's do it.
Sometimes when you're working away, your tools break on you. That's okay. I've got some double-sided copper tape that I'm going to use to fix it up right now. And with a little bit of luck, I won't have to worry about my pad falling off my sanding disc anymore. Alright, so at the point where I'm going to throw the first last coat on, the penultimate coat, one might even say, with pre-made mud. Usually if you're anywhere good at doing drywalling, this would be the last coat, but since I'm not, I'm probably gonna have to go back and smooth out a few defects. We're not going for perfect, we're going to, it looks good from 3 feet away. But frankly, I'm the only person who's gonna get closer than that.
There's a lot going on, but the mudding is almost done, so it is time for me to wipe all the walls and then vacuum everything and then wipe everything down because painting's happening probably tomorrow. I think there's going to be just a couple little touch-ups on the mudding and then hopefully we can prime. Been vacuumed, it looks way better. But the next step is I'm going to take some cloths and a little bit of water and try and get as much of this mud off as possible because it needs to come off sooner rather than later. So let's do that.